Hi, I'm here with Slava to talk a little bit about how your organization has benefited from using some of the data and experiments and really trying to get a better sense of understanding your customer. What have you seen as some of the obstacles in the way to getting your organization and different parts of your organization into experimentation and the use of data?
Okay. So for us at OfficeMax, experimentation and testing is a fairly new program. We have never had something like this before. I think it's about 1 year we've been using the platform, client of Monetate's. So I think a few specific things that I'll call out here. I think in order for to be successful in this space, there are at least 6 different things that need to happen in order for you to be successful. So I think you've mentioned a few of them today during your presentation, where we talked about process, you talked a little bit about people, bringing the right skill set, also talked about the tool set and where organizations are in terms of their maturity level. So all of those 3 things, I would also add 3 other things to it. So one of them is executive buy-in. So I think from the beginning you need to have a strong sponsor, someone who has the visibility and the place across the table with the senior executive team that makes all the decisions within the organization. So you need to have someone like that. And if you don't, you're going to have to go out there and find, and if you do have, then you need to continue feeding that support. So that's number 1. Number 2, in an organization like ours, you have to have a very strong digital strategy and roadmap. If you don't have that very clearly defined within the organization and people are not understanding what it is that you want to accomplish, anything else you do downstream, from testing, optimization, to targeting, to web analytics, almost doesn't make sense. People, tool set, and processes, you've mentioned those, but the other piece is also organizational dynamics and the culture. And the culture is, to your point, is one of the most hardest things to get over, and it's the most hardest thing to first of all understand, and then how do you make changes in the digital world. So I think when it comes down to culture, really what it is, it's just being able to understand some of this dynamics and strategies that are happening within the teams, not just within the digital, but also as it relates to the entire retail organization. And to me, that has been one of the biggest obstacles, is how do you really harness the creativity of the different teams, how do you work cross-functionally with all the different teams, how do you get everybody on board, how do you then communicate the value of this program, and that to us is one of the biggest hurdles.
So what are some of the things that you've done to at least start to cross some of those hurdles?
So I think, the biggest thing is to kind of be able to come up with the processes that will help you guide and kind of will help you alleviate some of these organizational challenges. So you have to come up with processes pertaining to how do you harness the creativity of the different teams, how do you communicate the results back, how do you define how success looks like for each of the tests and optimization efforts that you actually have out there. So I think when we talk about our culture, organizational culture as it relates to testing, we want at least 3 different attributes. We want the culture of inclusion. We want to make sure that everyone is included within what we want to do within the strategy. Everyone has a buy-in, and there are very specific things you do to accomplish that. You want a culture of ownership. So you want to make sure that everyone kind of owns the results and everyone is understanding, first of all, the results and exactly where we're going in terms of the strategy. And then I think culture of responsibility is also. So we think, the program can do X, we're going to promise this to the senior leadership and we're going to deliver on that. And if we don't, there are very specific things that we can do along the way to kind of adjust our strategy.
So there are a lot of people who still haven't gone as far as we see with a lot of Monetate clients doing, significant amounts of tests, more so than the traditional average. But if you're speaking today to someone who's, just getting into some leadership roles in digital marketing, what would your advice be in terms of getting them to be a leader that, is willing to leverage the data and do a lot of experimentation?
Well, I think, first of all, you kind of have to have your own. I think the strategy overall as it relates to testing, it has to be in sync with the overall larger picture as well that your leadership is trying to do. If you're going to be out of sync there, it almost doesn't matter what you do and how you do it. Number 2, you have to be cross-functional. I think you have to include all the different teams from creative to marketing, analytics, senior leadership. You have to get all of those in the room and you have to understand each of those guys' needs and how do you make sure that you cater to those needs and then use the creativity that the group has to come up with. prioritize based on your digital strategy, and then go forward with those type of experimentation. So, and then every few quarters, every year or so, you want to go back and revisit your strategy. Did you really hit the success metrics that you promised out there to senior leadership that you're going to get? And you have to continuously quick. Technology keeps changing. Tools are out there. To your point, there's a lot of, the big data, and the whole shift from online to offline, and the whole concept of, So I think to me, those are the things that you kind of need to constantly be changing your tactics as it relates to testing and optimization.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.